executive podcast host. Not only have you accomplished numerous milestones in your life, but you've brought other people with you, Eugenia. You lift each other up, as I say, 2 hands at a time, and sometimes you definitely use that foot, right? I know you do. Welcome, Miss Foxworth, to the Inventors Podcast Show. So happy you're here. How are you?
I am wonderful and blessed, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's very exciting because you too are a Renaissance woman.
Oh my gosh, when I read everything about you, and thank you for having me on your show. That was so much fun. But being able to really sit back and read your entire bio, and it's not even your entire bio, because there's so much more than that can fit on paper. You know, your life is so much broader than this. But as I tell you, just reading this, I was just so inspired and encouraged even more. You know, you elicit so much excitement in other people. You have your own podcast, and I just want to talk a little bit about your background and how you started and what you're doing now. But first, I have to throw in my British accent. Good afternoon, Eugenia. You were born in London, raised in Philly. I was born in London, raised in Brooklyn.
No.
Was that almost good? It's been many years.
Well, now we're global, so we have all the accents.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So let's talk about you, Eugenia. Please, let's talk about your start. You've done so many things. But let's talk about where you are now, and you fill in all of the gaps for me, please, because there's so much to say about you.
Where am I now? Well, right now, I always do several things at one time. Right now, I'm concentrating on my podcast because I feel that there's so many people that are out there that people do not know about. We have so much history among our brown and Black people that no one knows. And all of us, including you, are standing on the shoulders of others. And I think it's an opportunity to do that. I'm still doing my real estate company, the Foxworth Realty. And it's good. You know, it has enabled me to reach out to people within the Harlem community that I would have never.
I don't want to interrupt you, but let's talk about what that is, because you're saying it, but people need to know exactly what that is. You've done so much for community. So let's back up and talk about what Foxworth Realty is all about.
Well, I usually, when I first began in real estate, I was downtown. I was Madison Avenue. I mean, that's where the last office, it was the same company, but I was Lexington in the 80s. Then I went to Madison. And I wanted to eventually, one of my interns had suggested, why don't you open your own company? When I decided to open my company, the bottom fell out of real estate and the economy. So I ended up in Harlem because someone said, one of my clients, who I represent several of her properties, and she said, I have a place for you. Why don't you go there? So in going there, well, I can tell you present day what is happening that came from that journey. I found a group, the Uptown Dance Academy, that does the Black Nutcracker. And I went to an event because one of the publications in Harlem sent something out that they were having a benefit for another group. So I went. And when I found out that, and I love working with children. So I ended up maybe 6 months later being on the board of the Uptown Dance Academy. And at that time, I knew no one, but I was just so active. I jumped in. I physically worked. I drew my friends in. I gave money. I made them spend money. today, I stayed on the board for a couple of years.
Mhm.
And after Prince gave them $250,000 and he also gave $250,000 to the ABT, American Ballet Theater, and $1 million to the Empowerment Zone. But after that, I got off of the board, but I'm still active. I just recently got backpacks from the Florida Association of Realtors that they did not want to take with them. And they gave them to me because of my Harlem outreach. I had the names of the logo put on the backpacks for 200 backpacks to enable the students to wear theirs and to enable the founder to sell it to get money in, because money is hard. So that's just an example of some of the things I've done. But Scholarship Foundation, being on the International Federation of Real Estate, which came a part of my being an owner, broker, and international, has enabled me to reach out to colleges and try to get academics, professors that are teaching law or any aspect of real estate, which there are 40 different venues.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things I'm doing. But I do sell. I rent and I sell, and I'm international, so that's it. I do local
Okay.
and global, but I try to save properties within the community. And that's the whole idea
Yes.
of these. They invited me to be on the International Scholarship Foundation as a trustee.
Mhm.
And that has enabled me to reach out and try to get the students that need it. So far, I've had one, Columbia University, a
Nice.
student that got it. But I need the academics. I
Mhm.
need one professor, which we give them the membership. And that
So talking about,
allows,
you said you need the academics, so you're trying to reach out to the students, right?
I'm trying to reach out to the professors
Okay.
or the students to reach out to their professors to see if one of them will become an academic member. Like we have academic members from George Washington University,
Okay.
Columbia. So far, I've only been able to give to Columbia. I would like Hofstra or some of the city colleges, the state colleges, or the 2-year schools that are studying architecture, becoming attorneys, accounting,
Mhm.
surveying, anything. There's so many layers, and that's really it. And
So
those students,
what would you like to do with them? So you're saying you need the academic side. So the listener understands all of this, because you do so much. I mean, you have me excited. And any way I can help you to reach these goals, I'd love to be able to do that. You're a goer, a doer, you make things happen, and I love it. So tell us what you're talking about when you're saying you want the academic part of it to come in.
well, I just need a professor
Okay.
at one of the universities to contact me and
Mhm.
say, fine, because I in turn can make them a member, an academic member of the
Okay.
International Federation of Real Estate. Now, in doing that, then the students can apply for scholarships because I have the academic in place. What I'm hoping for the students is that then they'll be able to go into our neighborhoods.
Mhm.
When you go home and save some of our properties, educate people within the community about what is going on. And I think that it's simple, but it's not as simple as it sounds,
Right.
because you need the bodies.
You have to make those connections. And clearly, you know how to do that. You jump right in. You did it with the ballet school, and you know, or you get yourself involved. And not only do you just reach out to someone, you get on a board, and that's how you make noise, and that's how you make a difference and make change. And however, as I said before, however I can help you, I'm going to. A couple of people come to mind, and I'm going to reach out. But you and I will have a conversation off screen here at a later date. And you do so much. I'm so amazed and so blown away at what you do to help and support your community. And my thing is all about bridging that gap between ambition and success, right? And you've done that. You've done that. You're bringing people in, and that's very, very inspiring. You talked about moving from one spot to Madison Ave. Oh, come on, that's a dream. To move to Madison Avenue. I mean, where you were prior to Madison is not a small feat either. You know, to be able to have an office on Madison Avenue is giant, huge. Who doesn't want an office on Madison Avenue? And you accomplished that. And how did you do that?
No, I was with another company. You
Uh-huh.
know, I was an associate broker. But now I'm a broker because I hung the shingle. How did I accomplish it?
Yes.
Because I never thought about it. I just said, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And I knew where I was comfortable, and I wanted to make money. And
I love how you simplify it. I love how you simplify it. And all of that comes from, I read your background. All of that comes, I believe, from the encouragement and the positive inspiration that your parents, your father in particular, provided to you, in addition to some of the mentors, you know, I want to talk about as well. But it starts somewhere, Eugenia. If you would like to share a little bit about your upbringing, you know, being born in London and raised in Philadelphia, and what you went through a little bit, and no obstacles have stopped you from doing or becoming who you are. So let's talk a little bit about that.
okay, I have to just change one thing because it seems like I was born there. I was registered with the UK because I was born on the Philadelphia Expressway and then I went to London when I was 3 weeks old. They registered me as a British citizen, and from 3 weeks I lived in London with my parents, and then later, up until I was 12, but my parents divorced when I was young. As I said, I must have been a terrible embryo. So my parents divorced before I was 1 year old.
Aww.
Yeah. So then I went to Philadelphia. I was going back and forth. So that I wanted to say, my father and my paternal grandfather always inspired me that I could do whatever I wanted. My father would say, you can do anything as long as you don't mind anyone doing it to you. It's not illegal and it's not immoral. So that left wide open spaces for me. My grandfather would say, you're very different, but understand that your difference will make a difference on other people.
Yes.
And that wasn't exactly his words, but it was like it would be an impact or something else.
In a very positive way.
Yes, exactly. And then in Philadelphia, since you mentioned mentors, I, by fluke, just became a flight attendant. The newspapers wrote about me, the Bulletin, the Enquirer, etc. And I got a phone call, and the gentleman said, my name is Barrett Rustin. And I didn't know who Barrett Rustin was. I mean, I didn't, the only time I had in Philadelphia was during semester breaks. And then I was back in the UK. When I was 12, it was different. It was the reverse, going back and forth. So I had no idea. So he said, so how did you get this position? Who sent you? I said, no one. I said, my friends were Lieutenant JGs, and I was at the Philadelphia Naval Base. And when I'd go in with them, the bell would ring. And then next thing you knew, we were paying for drinks because they forgot to take off their hats. That was the 4th Naval District. And I was there with the, working with the commandant in his office.
Mhm.
So the end of the story, we decided we're going to get our money back. We're not spending any more money. And it was a bet. If I could get hired by the airlines as a flight attendant, well, that's the furthest thing away from my mind. And of course, nobody else would even think it as well, because at that time, I was not the type. I was shorter, darker, and definitely recognizable. So I went for the interview. And after that interview, I had another interview. Then they told me to walk. Well, of course I can walk. So I walked. I got hired. That's how it happened. But it took me over 6 months to go because I finished college early. You had to be 21 years old to become a flight attendant. So my mentor actually became Bayard Rustin. He followed my journey wherever I went. And he said to me, never let anybody tell you that you cannot do anything. Amen. And he said, and the way that you are, he said, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. He said, it wasn't easy for me. He said, but I triumphed over the others. Yes. And that was my mentor. The last time I saw him, I did a benefit at my gallery for the National Council for Culture and Art. And they were honoring Alvin Ailey at, oh God, I forgot what it's called, but it was in the theater district. Right. And there was Bayard Rustin there. And he said, I lost you. I couldn't find you. That's because I do so many things. And that was the greatest thing, because this man had affected my life so much. Yes. You know, you never know how much someone is just talking. Yes. Yes, your words. Yes, and it really did. And I still have his picture.
How did he find, so Bayard found you, how? How did he know that you applied for this position? How did he actually find you? He saw you and he reached out to you?
In the newspaper.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, he saw the newspaper.
That's incredible.
That's how he found me, because at that time, it was something unique. You know, we didn't have the internet to know, but you had the newspaper, the radio, and I don't know much about the TV because I was not exactly a TV person, but the newspapers just blew it up completely. And he found me. It's easy to find someone in Philadelphia. You know, if somebody knows someone else or whatever, how he found. Yes.
That's incredible. I mean, so eyes are on you. Eyes are always on you, right? I find that with social media. When you think people aren't watching you, they actually are. They're watching you. And I mean, for you, you're such an inspiration. You move and touch so many lives that, I mean, I can imagine he looking at you and looking at this article and saying, wow, this is a gifted, special woman, just like your father said, your grandfather said, you know, you're different, you're unique, and people are drawn to that. They're drawn to you. You're certainly different. You have a beautiful heart, and it shows. You're giving, you're loving, and you're kind, and that can't be missed. That can't ever be missed. And I mean, come on, your art. You do so many different things, from fashionista to creating art. Now, I do have to ask you, have you drawn art, or do you just appreciate art?
I've always appreciated art. I cannot even do my fingernails. I'm sure I could paint if I wanted to,
Uh-huh.
but I like art, every aspect of it. I love paintings. I love sculpture. I love classical music. I love ballet. I like hip hop. Sometimes I'll joke with my friends, kids, and I'll get up and dance with them, and they're blown away. I don't twerk, but
That's great.
but I do the other things. Yeah, it's just that even as a child, I would do things. And being fashionable, I
Mhm.
remember I'd go visit my mother when I was younger, when I was a little kid, and I would wear her clothes. And I also knew when my dad, who was a bachelor,
Uh-huh.
had the various lady friends, if they left scarves or thing in the living room, I would just take them and wear them. Of course, you could tell, excuse me, that they were not my clothes. And
Oh,
I
that's
just love
something.
fashion. So with the fashion, I've met a lot of young
Mm-hmm.
designers. When I say young, I mean emerging, because they could be 50, 60 years old and not made it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Louise Bourgeois.
Yes.
She did not become an artist until she was 70. Fortunately, I met her and a lot of the other artists, who have names, those who were in New York locally, etc., that have names. So the bottom line is it's something I've liked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love reading. I love history, but fashion, yes, I design. I will say what I want. However, a lot of designers, they used to all come to me. Now I just sort of find the ones that I like and I promote them through wearing their clothing.
Very nice.
Mhm.
Do you do that on the podcast? Do you talk about that and do you interview any of these people on your podcast?
Well, there's one that I just interviewed, but see, you have to give back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there's one, a Milagro Batista. She is a master knitter and crocheter.
I've read about
And
her.
I
Yeah.
have over 30 some pieces of her
Oh,
clothing.
oh my goodness.
Yes. And so I've interviewed other designers.
Mm-hmm.
There's one gentleman who he's not an he his clothing is different,
Mm-hmm.
and he's done these shoes and things. Nike has him doing things for them as well. So I like to watch what people are doing, what people are wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to promote them, and the best way is through me.
Yeah.
One of my designers, I was his first client in New York, and this is going back, and he had worked with the group on Dynasty, which your audience, unless they're of a certain age, won't know. And he came to New York, and his name is Mark Bauer. Now,
Mhm.
Mark did an
Wow.
entire collection for me in the days when I wore only white. Now I wear only black. And he's still making my clothing. Now that things are different,
Mhm.
you don't need the evening, but he makes daytime as well.
That's unbelievable. So I want to share your podcast with those people who are listeners and viewing right now. What is the name of your podcast?
The Foxworth Theory.
And how do you invite folks on your show? How do you get to be on the Foxworth Theory?
It's on who you know. If you have someone that's exceptional, or
Mhm.
someone, for example, we did Sammy Davis Jr.'s son.
Ah,
He was
gosh.
thrilled because he was allowed to tell his story. So It's through people. I have a team,
Mhm.
and people contact them, the PR company, and they contact them. Or in my situation, if it's someone that I know, I just invite them, because most of the people that I know or I do things with,
Mhm.
they give back just as you do.
Thank you. And it was a pleasure being on your show. I felt so special, so honored to be
No,
part of your show.
I was honored and thrilled, and your ears must have been burning and wiggling, because every time I speak to someone, I say, did you see her? Well, then go on there. I said, she's an inventress. I said, you know that little, oh, I should have brought it. I said, you know the little bun? I said, she is the one that did it. I said, extraordinary things
Oh,
that we use and wear or need. And the highlight was you're telling me about one piece that you put in the closet and you could put books on it. The other piece you used in your cabinets, and you went from QVC to Home Shopping Network.
yes.
That to me was priceless. So I'm very honored to have met you. And now for you to be interviewing me,
Love it.
it's wonderful.
I love it. And there's so much to talk about. You are such a beautiful person filled with so much. And many people are very, very myopic and don't realize the gifts and talents that God give them, and that we only have a very short time here on this planet, and that we can do more than one thing, and we could use our gifts and talents. You don't let anything stop you from using your gifts and sharing your talents with others. And that's really what I love and appreciate about you, and that you share it with others. And you're helping to tell others, please come on, share this. And for me, I used to say we got 5 minutes. I gave us a little bit more time. We got 7 minutes on this planet. Yet let's utilize those 7 minutes in its fullness. Create
Yes.
everything. You're artists. You own several businesses, real estate. And as young as you are, you're doing all of these things in this short amount of time. Young and beautiful and talented.
Oh, I just love the word young. Thank you.
Yes.
But
Yes,
it's all in your mind.
it is. It is. It
Mhm.
really is. And you can do anything, right? All you have to do is ask and really want it, right?
You can ask, because the universe is your bank, and you just ask and you can withdraw a fund from it.
ASK, ask, seek, knock, Matthew 7:7, right? Ask and you will
Absolutely.
receive, seek and ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and the door shall be open to you. If you desire it, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
You are amazing. Will you please come back again and again and again?
I would love to. And also, I hope your audience watches the Foxworth Theory on YouTube.
Yes, let's talk about where we can see everything about you.
Yes.
So you're on YouTube, what's your website? Let's do all of your social media handles.
I'm on
Some of them.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then I'm on my website. So I'm everywhere. I'm like the little rabbit keeps going.
Yes, the
Yes. So
Energizer Bunny.
www.thefoxworththeory.com. That's where I am. That's my social media. I have both that. My real estate company is Foxworth Gallery. It's easy to find. It's a gallery. You see, I'm still in art. That's your fault.
I get sorry.
It's Foxworth Realty. But everything I've done, even my gallery, was the Foxworth Gallery, and that was on East 65th Street. They never knew where I came from there either. But yeah, so you can find me everywhere.
I am so appreciative of you. I love you. I love your heart. You're amazing, an amazing woman. Thank you so much for being on the Inventress podcast. Thank you for this wonderful conversation. And I can't wait to have you back. God bless you and peace be with you, girl.
Yes, and you too. Blessings, and I'm thrilled. Thank you.